He's gone. We've lost him. Those were the words spoken over 12-year-old Daniel Martinez after 11 minutes of clinical death. No heartbeat, no brain activity, flat lines on every monitor. The medical team had done everything, but the boy was dead. Then his heart started beating again. His eyes opened, and within hours, Daniel was speaking, but what he said left everyone in that hospital room frozen in disbelief. This isn't a story about religion or science. It's about a boy who died, went somewhere impossible, and came back with a warning, a message from Jesus about something called 3I/ATLAS, an object racing through our solar system that astronomers are watching right now. What he described shouldn't be possible. What he knew, he couldn't have known. But here's the terrifying part. Everything he warned about is already happening in the sky above us. If you're ready to hear a testimony that challenges everything we think we know about life, death, and the signs in the heavens, subscribe now. This story will change how you see the world. Daniel Martinez was obsessed with technology. Video games, tablets, apps, always connected, always online. An ordinary kid living an ordinary life. Until the day a distracted driver ran a red light. The collision was catastrophic. Daniel's body was thrown 40 feet, no pulse, not breathing. Paramedics began CPR in the street, racing against time as his brain was starved of oxygen. Hospital staff worked frantically. 1 minute without oxygen, 3 minutes, 5. Brain damage becomes likely after 6 minutes. At 11 minutes, as the doctor prepared to call time of death, Daniel's heart suddenly restarted on its own. The medical team stood in shock. The boy they'd pronounced dead was coming back to life. His mother, who had been praying outside the trauma room, heard the impossible words, "He's alive." When Daniel opened his eyes hours later, his first words were, "I wasn't here. I was somewhere else." He described standing in a place beyond description, light everywhere, but gentle, warmth without heat, and a peace he'd never experienced, more real than anything on earth. Daniel wasn't alone. A figure stood before him, someone he immediately recognized as Jesus, though he couldn't explain how he knew. His eyes could see everything about me, Daniel said, everything I'd ever done, everything I'd thought. But he wasn't angry, he was sad. Jesus didn't speak audibly, but Daniel understood every word, as if thoughts were being placed directly into his mind. The message was urgent, specific, terrifying. Humanity was approaching a critical moment. A sign was coming from the heavens, and something called 3I/ATLAS would appear, an interstellar visitor bringing both a warning and a judgment. "Watch the skies," Jesus told him. "When you see it, know that time is short." Daniel's description of 3I/ATLAS was remarkably detailed for a 12-year-old boy who knew nothing about astronomy or interstellar objects. Yet what he described matches an object that astronomers have been tracking, an object that shouldn't exist. According to Daniel, Jesus explained that 3I/ATLAS was a messenger, not a random space rock, but a sign placed in the heavens as a warning. The 3I designation meant it was the third interstellar object ever detected entering our solar system. Atlas referred to the telescope system that discovered it, but also carried deeper meaning. This object would bear witness to events about to unfold on Earth. Daniel was shown visions of this object racing through space at incredible speed, passing near planets, being struck by solar storms. He saw scientists confused by its composition, something unlike any comet they'd studied before. Higher carbon dioxide than expected. Strange reactions to solar radiation. An object that defied normal explanations. But the warning went deeper. Jesus told Daniel that 3I/ATLAS was a countdown clock. When it passed closest to Earth, when its tail stretched across the night sky, that would mark the beginning of a time of great tribulation. Wars, natural disasters, and technological systems turning against humanity. People will see it and think it's just a comet, Daniel was told. But it's a sign. Like the star that announced my birth, this announces my return. Those who are watching will understand. Those who are distracted will miss it completely. Dr. Sarah Chen, the neurologist who treated Daniel, spoke carefully when asked about his experience. From a medical standpoint, we cannot explain what Daniel described, she admitted. Brain activity ceased for over 10 minutes. By all conventional understanding, he should have suffered severe brain damage. Instead, he recovered completely with detailed memories of an experience he claims occurred while clinically dead. Near-death experiences have been documented for decades. Studies estimate that between 10 and 20% of people who survive cardiac arrest report some form of conscious experience during the period when they were clinically dead. Common elements include tunnels of light, feelings of peace, encounters with deceased relatives, and life reviews. But Daniel's experience contained unusual specificity. He didn't just describe general religious imagery, he provided detailed information about an interstellar object that he had no prior knowledge of. Hospital staff confirmed that Daniel's family didn't discuss astronomy. His internet history showed typical preteen interests: gaming videos, soccer highlights, and music. What makes this testimony compelling isn't just the medical impossibility of his recovery, it's the content of what he claims to have learned. Either this child somehow absorbed classified astronomical data unconsciously, or something extraordinary allowed him to acquire information through means science doesn't understand. Skeptics argue that Daniel's brain, starved of oxygen, created elaborate hallucinations. Believers counter that medical science cannot account for the accuracy of details in near-death testimonies or the profound life changes these experiences produce. This is where Daniel's story becomes truly unsettling. Because 3I/ATLS isn't fiction. It's a real interstellar object currently racing through our solar system, and astronomers are watching it with growing concern. The object was discovered by the ATLAS telescope system, Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, designed to detect objects that could threaten Earth. When they spotted this comet, they immediately recognized something unusual. Its trajectory showed it originated from outside our solar system, making it only the third confirmed interstellar visitor ever detected. What makes 3I/ATLAS remarkable is its speed. It's moving faster than any comet originating from our solar system should move, propelled by gravitational forces from its journey through interstellar space. Astronomers calculated its approach trajectory and realized it would pass through our solar system, coming relatively close to Earth on a cosmic scale. Then something extraordinary happened. A coronal mass ejection from the Sun, a massive burst of solar plasma and magnetic fields, collided directly with 3I/ATLAS. This solar storm struck the comet with tremendous force, and scientists began observing changes in its behavior and composition. Spectroscopic analysis revealed something puzzling. 3I/ATLAS shows a higher carbon dioxide to water ratio than typical comets. Its chemical composition doesn't match what scientists expect from objects formed in our solar system. It's different, fundamentally different, suggesting origins in a distant star system with different formation conditions. As 3I/ATLAS approaches Mars next week, scientists are eager to observe how solar radiation continues affecting it. But some astronomers are asking deeper questions. Why now? Why is this interstellar visitor arriving precisely when humanity faces unprecedented challenges? Daniel Martinez is no longer the same boy. The technology-obsessed kid who spent hours daily on screens now spends his time watching the night sky. His mother describes the change as complete and immediate. He's serious now in a way kids shouldn't be, she explains. He talks about the comet constantly. He keeps a star chart on his wall, tracking its position. He says we need to be ready, that when 3I/ATLAS is visible to the naked eye, everything will change. Daniel began sharing his testimony at church, then at youth groups. Videos went viral, reaching millions. Some embraced his message as prophetic warning. Others dismissed it as religious hysteria. But Daniel's story hasn't changed. Over months of interviews, every detail remains identical. And his understanding of astronomy has grown exponentially, not through study, but as if he's remembering information rather than learning it. His message remains focused. 3I/ATLAS isn't random. It's a sign placed in the heavens, just as Jesus said there would be signs in the sun, moon, and stars before his return. Humanity must choose carefully. Will we see the warning or ignore it until it's too late? Daniel's testimony aligns with biblical prophecies about celestial signs preceding the end times. Throughout Scripture, God uses heavenly phenomena to communicate with humanity. Stars, eclipses, comets, and cosmic events that demand attention. Genesis 1:14 declares that God created the sun, moon, and stars for signs and seasons. They aren't merely decorative, they're communicative. The heavens tell a story for those who know how to read them. Jesus himself prophesied in Luke 21:25-26. There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. On the earth, nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea. People will faint from terror, apprehensive of what is coming on the world, for the heavenly bodies will be shaken. The book of Revelation describes cosmic phenomena accompanying the end times. Stars falling from the sky, the moon turning blood red, the sun darkening. While symbolic language fills Revelation, many scholars believe these descriptions reference literal astronomical events that will be visible to all humanity. Joel 2:30-31 adds specificity. I will show wonders in the heavens and on the earth, blood and fire and billows of smoke. The sun will be turned to darkness and the moon to blood before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. Daniel emphasizes that the warning he received wasn't about being afraid of 3I/ATLAS itself. It was about recognizing what it represents, a divine messenger announcing that prophetic timelines are accelerating. Just as the Star of Bethlehem announced Christ's first coming, this interstellar visitor announces his return. Daniel's testimony isn't isolated. Other prophetic voices have been warning about celestial signs and cosmic events that will precede global transformation. Pastor David Wilkerson, before his death, prophesied about a time when signs in the heavens would cause people to look up and wonder if judgment was approaching. He described these signs as undeniable, visible to everyone, regardless of faith or skepticism. Rabbi Jonathan Cahn has written extensively about biblical patterns in celestial events, documenting how solar eclipses, blood moons, and astronomical phenomena have historically coincided with significant events in Israel's history. He warns that when these patterns accelerate, humanity should pay attention. Numerous near-death experiences have reported being shown future events involving cosmic signs. They describe being told that humanity will see something in the sky that cannot be explained away, something that forces even skeptics to consider whether divine forces are at work. The consistency across these testimonies suggests a pattern. Multiple sources separated by backgrounds and circumstances pointing to the same conclusion. The heavens are about to declare something that demands humanity's attention. Whether one interprets these as genuine spiritual warnings or collective psychological phenomena, the convergence is remarkable. Daniel's warning about 3I/ATLAS isn't just about seeing a comet in the sky. According to his testimony, the object's closest approach to Earth will coincide with unprecedented technological and geopolitical disruptions. He describes being shown visions of communication systems failing, satellites experiencing interference, power grids destabilizing. Not from the comet itself causing physical damage, but as if its passage marks a moment when systems humanity depends on begin breaking down. Jesus told me that people have put their faith in technology instead of God, Daniel explains. They trust their devices, their networks, their AI systems to solve every problem. But when 3I/ATLAS passes, all those systems will show how fragile they really are. Not because the comet destroys them, but because God allows them to fail so people will look up and remember who really controls everything. The warning extends to geopolitical tensions. Daniel was shown nations in conflict, particularly focused on the Middle East. Wars that escalate quickly, leaders making decisions that push humanity toward crisis, and all of it happening while this interstellar visitor crosses the sky, visible to everyone as a reminder that cosmic forces beyond human control are at work. But Daniel emphasizes that the message isn't primarily about fear or doom, it's about opportunity. The passage of 3:ATLAS represents a moment of choice. Will humanity turn back toward God or continue racing towards self-destruction? Will people see the sign and respond, or dismiss it as coincidence and keep living as if nothing has changed? Daniel's testimony has created deep division. Astronomers argue that 3:ATLAS is simply an interstellar comet, fascinating scientifically but carrying no prophetic significance. Religious leaders debate whether genuine divine revelation would come to a child. Skeptics dismiss the warnings as apocalyptic hysteria about a random space object. Yet something about Daniel's story penetrates even skeptical audiences. Perhaps it's the medical impossibility of his recovery. Perhaps it's the specificity of his astronomical knowledge that he couldn't have possessed. Or perhaps it's the timing, an interstellar object arriving precisely when global tensions, technological dependence, and spiritual emptiness have reached critical levels. Supporters point to Daniel's transformed life as evidence of genuine experience. You can't fake that kind of change, his pastor observes. He went from typical kid to someone carrying a burden of warning that he didn't ask for and doesn't enjoy. That's not how hoaxes work. Critics maintain that coincidence and unconscious knowledge can explain the astronomical details, while brain chemistry and cultural conditioning explain the religious framework. They argue that near-death experiences, while profound for those who have them, don't constitute evidence of supernatural reality or prophetic insight. But even skeptics acknowledge whatever happened to Daniel Martinez during those 11 minutes of clinical death, it transformed him completely and left him with information that demands explanation. And the object he warned about is real, currently racing through our solar system, being tracked by telescopes worldwide. Daniel Martinez watches the night sky constantly now. He tracks 3:ATLAS's position, waiting for the moment when it becomes visible to the naked eye. The medical miracle of his recovery remains unexplained. The source of his detailed astronomical knowledge remains mysterious. But the message he brought back remains urgent and clear. Humanity stands at a crossroads. An interstellar visitor races toward us, not to destroy Earth, but to announce that time is running out. The sign in the heavens that Jesus prophesied is here, visible to anyone who looks up. Whether Daniel truly spoke with Jesus during those 11 minutes, or whether his brain created an elaborate vision incorporating unconscious information, the warning deserves consideration. We are living through unprecedented times, global tensions, technological dependence, spiritual emptiness, and now an object from beyond our solar system crossing the sky above us. The question isn't just whether we believe Daniel's testimony. The question is whether we're paying attention to what's happening around us and above us. Are we watching the signs, or are we too distracted to notice? Daniel's final message is simple. Jesus told me that when people see 3:ATLAS in the sky, they'll have a choice. They can dismiss it as just a comet and go back to their phones, their jobs, their distractions. Or they can look up and remember that we're not alone in the universe, that God is still watching, still sending warnings, still offering salvation to those who will receive it. If this testimony has challenged or inspired you, subscribe to our channel for more investigations into the supernatural, the prophetic, and the unexplained. Share this video with friends who need to hear Daniel's warning. Hit that like button if you believe the heavens are declaring something we need to hear.